Against the blue background, white lettering reads Process for Accessibility Survey of a Play Area.
Process for Accessibility Survey of a Play Area.
Against the blue background, white lettering reads Presented by Rocky Mountain ADA Centre, a non-profit project of Meeting the Challenge, a playground on a seesaw two girls play.
To comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, recreation facilities, including play areas, must be readily accessible to and usable by people with disabilities. Measuring the properties of playgrounds, specifically routes to those ground level and elevated play components required to be accessible, to assess their compliance with the ADA is a complicated process. While not every play area has as many attributes to measure, even the simplest of play areas can require the recording of a minimum of 15 to 20 measurements. At more complex play areas, those having large elevated structures, ramps, and numerous types of ground-level play components, more than 100 measurements or observations per play area may be required. Often, the observer must notice and document the absence of accessible features or the presence of anomalies that are barriers to access for some persons with disabilities and potential hazards for people who do not have disabilities. At play areas, access must be provided not only for children with disabilities who have the right to benefit from the play activity, but also to others, such as family members and friends with disabilities who may accompany children at the play area.
Words, play area scoping. At the play area, two men examine a multicolored play structure.
Play area scoping. General specifications and observations. The process of surveying the accessibility features of a play area begins with general observations of the play area, including walkways to the play area, entry to play area, number of ground-level play components, number of types of ground-level play components, number of elevated play components. Are components or play structures intended for use by children of different ages? What kind or kinds of surface materials are used? Are there safe surfaces, accessible surfaces, and safe and accessible surfaces? Total area of play area.
Words read Types of play components. The men examine a slide.
Types of play components. The type of a play component is determined by observing its function. The action of the user is the function or type of the play component. Among the functions of play components are sliding, climbing, spinning, swinging, balancing, interactive play.
Words read Walkway to play area. Beyond the play area, mountains.
Walkway to play area.
Around the play area, grass and trees.
An accessible route must connect the site arrival points, accessible parking, pedestrian walk-in public right-of-way, and transit stops to the play area. Attributes of those paths of travel that must be observed or measured include width of route, vertical clearance, running slope, cross slope, kind of surface material, openings or gaps in surfaces, changes in level, protrusions.
Words read Entry to play area. On the ground, a man uses a spirit level.
Entry to play area. If the perimeter of a play area has a sloped entry or curb cut, the following attributes must be observed or measured: width, running slope, cross slope, kind of surface material, openings or gaps in surfaces, changes in level.
Words read Accessible routes. Beneath a play structure, wood chips.
Accessible routes. Each ground-level play component required to be accessible, and each elevated play structure must have an accessible route that connects it to the play area perimeter. Attributes that must be observed or measured to determine whether required accessible routes are present include width of route, vertical clearance, running slope, cross slope, kind of surface material, location of surface material, fall attenuating, surface material, stable, surface material, firm, surface material, slip resistant, openings or gaps in surfaces, changes in level, protrusions, number of ground-level components on an accessible route, number of types of ground-level components on an accessible route.
Two men measure steps to and on an elevated play structure.
Access to elevated structures and elevated play components. The accessible route to an elevated structure must connect to a point of entry at that structure. The point of entry may be a ramp, a transfer platform, or other type of transfer system. Attributes of ramps that must be observed or measured include width, running slope, cross slope, edge protection present, handrails present, rise of each run, height or extension of edge protection, height of handrails, dimension between handrails, diameter of handrails. Attributes of transfer platforms or systems that must be observed or measured include width of platform, height of platform, depth of platform, width of transfer space at platform, length of transfer space at platform. Is 48-inch dimension of transfer space centered on 24-inch dimension of platform? Maximum slope of transfer space. Transfer support. Attributes of transfer steps that must be observed or measured include height, width, depth. Attributes of the route within the elevated structure that must be observed or measured include width, running slope, cross slope, changes in level, number of elevated components on an accessible route, turning space provided.
A girl swings while men measure the ground beneath the swing set.
Ground level play components. Since at least one of each type of ground level play component must be on an accessible route, have compliant transfer space, turning space, and an entry point at a compliant height, it is necessary to determine which, if any, ground level play components are accessible. For those that are, the attributes that must be observed or measured include height of seat entry point, surface material, fall attenuating, surface material, stable, surface material, firm, surface material, slip resistant, openings or gaps in surfaces, changes in level, width of transfer space, length of transfer space, maximum slope of transfer space, diameter dimensions of turning space, vertical clearance. This video is a sample intended to show you the detailed process of surveying accessibility features of public playgrounds. Implementation of the ADA standards is of economic benefit to public entities and ensures that recreation activities in public facilities such as play areas will be accessible to everyone in our communities. For more information and further training, contact the Rocky Mountain ADA Center and Meeting the Challenge.
Words: the Rocky Mountain ADA Center, 800-949-4232, adainformation.org, Meeting the Challenge, 800-864-4264, mtc-inc.com.